minutes. And sometimes, Gav, you see, as soon as that dragging action starts, the referee will call held. There's obviously no call.
Dave, it's the interpretation is the referee's interpretation of the rule book, and in that instance, the Tigers, have success in that regard. There's too many rules in the rule book for me, David. I always knew a few of them, but never certainly all of them, as the referees need to. They've got a repeat set here on the back of a try. So let's see if they can't get some more points on the board here.
Or try a little trick play down the back of the scrum. Oswald had a little bit of trouble getting it out. Seemed to be a delay there. And whatever trick they were going to put on, they ran out of time to do it. Aoni will be the next one coming up the middle. Finally, they've got a bit of size to contest the Redcliffe boys. And he's fresh too. Aoni been on for a little while, but he's certainly a big lad. Torpy up there to Grinky. Grinky steps again. The importance of that little step doesn't get him through, but one time it will. Up there to Oles, dances around a little bit. Up to Bond. Bond throws the pass out. Little offload to Pierre. Is that the number 3? I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Well done by the young fellow, Pierre. Nice little backline play. Again, it's a credit to Oles because he is linking quite well with Torpy. Pretty basic backline play, but it brought the fullback in. Bond was a pretty handy addition into the backline, and then that little pass to Pierre, and all of a sudden the scoreboard, the black and white scoreboard, Gav, would tell us we've got a whole new ball game now.
Yeah, we do, David, and get the replay at some stage. Don't underestimate the work that Grenke does here. He's worked hard this afternoon. He's out on that left side, got a reasonably quick play of the ball. I wouldn't call it a super quick, but he did get to his feet, fell to his front, got to his feet as quick as he could, struggled to get up, just to give his halves just that fraction more time to get there, and then just good, the usual sweep play with Bond coming around the back, and Pierre, who broke a tackle of, I think it might have been Opachik. I'm not exactly sure if that was the case. It's a great effort, Plenty of talent, young Pierre, and then just enough to get to the line, a couple of metres and plunge over for his first try in his A-grade debut, and, congratulations to him.
And Gav, you know better than anyone, when you're on that wing, it is a game of millimetres, and you only got to watch some of these replays of the acrobatics. It's millimetres and milliseconds, so whatever time you rightly say that man preceding the ruck play with Grinke, whatever seconds or half a second you can give to your backs there makes all the difference. You could be into the first row of the grandstand if he's got to slow play the ball.
Yeah, correct. Half a second can make a difference of 2 or 3 metres that the defence can come off the line, can't it? So that can be the difference between getting to the line and getting that contact short. Here's the kick from Braden Torpy. It is no good. So on the black and white Cab scoreboard, the Dolphins 20, the Tigers 10, and we're just right on half-time.
We're here at Suzuki Stadium, and that's a great fight back by the Tigers. They were down by 20 points to nil at the 30th minute. They've scored 2 tries in the last 10 minutes. The Dolphins are in no hurry whatsoever. They've got 18 seconds. They probably won't get to kick off. But, well, the Tigers and Scott Sipple, the coach, would be very, very happy with that last 10 minutes or so. The Dolphins, well, they would have thought they were home, not quite hosed, but just get the kick-off in. Don't do anything silly here, boys. Let it go. That'll be the end of things. And that'll be half-time here at Suzuki Stadium. And the black and white Cab scoreboard shows us the Dolphins are in the lead by 20 points to 10. Good performance by the Dolphins early, Gav. 30 minutes of pretty good footy, albeit matched in with that was some pretty desperate Tigers defence. They were on the back foot just about the whole time to initially only concede 2 tries, and then the third one, of course, wasn't what they needed. But then, as we say, to come back in the last 10 minutes and put on 2 tries when you're down 20-0, that does give you a good chance and momentum, dare I say, in the second half, including the wind in the second half. You can't underestimate if you use it well, and Torpy's a guy who can kick a football, they could get right back into this match.
We've seen McAnally, who can take one of those chips to the corners quite well. He's very adept at that. Look, it can happen to any side. 2 tries in the first 5 minutes to the Dolphins. You can come out a bit slow, whatever the reason is, a bit snoozy. They all go through their warm-ups, David, and prepare themselves for the game. whatever the reason is, the Dolphins got away to a red-hot start. I think in the 2 of their first 3 sets, they scored those first couple of tries. The first one to Rudolph and the second one to Musa. The Musa one was down the short side where he took advantage of numbers and just threw a dummy and really straight through, and then there was no one at home really that was going to stop him. So, take that 5 minutes out of the game. The penalty goal followed shortly after, and then obviously another try. But take that first 5 minutes out of the game, and we got a real ball game. Unfortunately, you can't. Yep. So the Tigers have just got to work extra hard to get back into the match, which they've done, as you mentioned, in that last 10 minutes. They got a little bit of possession, they got a little bit of repeat possession, a couple of penalties. They controlled the football. They got it to their edges. They challenged them. They got some quick play the balls happening as best they could, and they just got those little advantages. And bingo, 2 tries, 10-20, away we go. Yeah,
very good effort by the Tigers, because they did look like they were just, and they used a lot of energy in that period when they were being dominated by the Dolphins as well. So to hang in there and get 2 tries is a very good effort. It does show they've got some good attack players there. They've just got to be able to build a bit of consistency. As we said, they on a couple of occasions threw passes that were under pressure and probably not on. But they've come up with the 2 points. I should say 2 tries late in the first half to bring it back on the black and white Cab scoreboard to 20 points to 10. Gab, we spoke briefly during the run of the call about East a little bit behind the 8 ball here today with the number of players that are out. Scotty Drinkwater, who'd been in great form, did his ankle last week, has probably been their most dangerous player. Billy Walters now has done, as I understand it, a broken thumb. He's going to be out for a few weeks. To his credit, he broke it during the game, but played the whole game. We thought it was probably suspect. Young Tonamapia gets called up for Melbourne. Patrick Kafusi breaks his nose. I didn't know you had a week off after breaking your nose, but anyway, there may be some concussion involved in that as well. But certainly they're down on troops. They were probably a little bit shell-shocked early, but they've hung in.
Yeah, look, they have hung in, Dave. You can throw Tommy Butterfield in there as well. One of their best over the last number of years. Shane Newman, former captain of the team as well. That's a lot of experience that's not out there. You got 3 guys making their debut today, or for the club, as we've mentioned during the call, and that can all be, part and parcel of a bit of nerves there. Not quite on your game for one reason or another. Admittedly, the 2 of them have played some Intrust Super Cup before at clubs outside of East. So there's a number of factors which could have affected the way the Tigers came out today. But to their credit, they hung in. They hung in when it was going tough. We mentioned during the call, that their line never looked solid. They were never really, creating a lot of attack with their defence. They were just hanging on. And a couple of times they scored against. But they've done well to eventually get some football. I liked your call, David. I think that once big Ione came on, I think he gave him a bit of punch through the middle with a few repeat rucks, in that play there. Anton Iaria has been doing well as well. Chris Oswald, sharp out of dummy half, just picking up a couple of penalties with those darts and the like. So those changes that have made, and the coaches always look for that. They always want the team to be doing no worse, obviously, with the players that are coming on. In fact, they want them to lift the game and get that momentum to change and continue that momentum if you've got it. And I think in this instance, Ione's got a lot of credit there for helping to achieve that.
And Gav, as you say, so if you take a ruck after a big man has really taken it up, and it makes it so much easier. Otherwise you're getting bounced back all the time. So that has made a big difference to them. Look, we've now got Mel Tabbett with us. Mel's just been down on the sideline and also pretty close to things there at half time. Mel, could you from Toner's Travel and Cruise give us a bit of a sideline report on injuries and whatever the coaches may be contemplating at this stage?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think we'd all agree that Scott would be a lot more happy with that last 10 minutes of the game. Brent had a chat to the doctor about Brandon Smith, so he seems to have suffered a bit of tenderness to his direct contact to his knee. So they're icing it now. It's doesn't have much movement in it, but hopefully with a bit more icing, and we'll see how we go.
All right. And any other players that had any problems at all, or we look pretty good from both
No,
sides?
we look pretty good. Just seems to be Brandon Smith at the moment. But yeah, hopefully he'll be back up and running, and I see they had him on the bike, so they're just trying to get that movement back in.
That's probably a good sign, because at least they're exactly trying to get movement rather than just icing him up and keeping it steady. So he'd be handy to come back in. Or, as you say, Gav, Ostwald, a good player in his own right, has continued to work very hard there.
Yeah, look, he has. He's familiar with the play that the Tigers have. He's been in the starting side all year with Tommy Butterfield out, as we've mentioned. So he's familiar with the play and the players, and he's been showing that.
And Gav, we mentioned you presented jerseys to 3 debutants, one of which was the Welsh international in Ollie Oles. He's a guy who's slotted in quite well there. I mean, it's not easy for a half. If you're a back rower or someone, you can just get in there and do your job, but you've got to organise if you're playing in the halves and link up with other players. He's been tidy. Yeah,
Dave, look, he has. He's impressed me down that left edge. He's just doing his job, I guess. He's working the forget he's a Welsh international. He played a number of tests as well, so he is experienced. He does have that international experience as well as some Intrust Super Cup games with the other clubs. So I've been impressed with how he's slotted in. I don't think we've seen Jack Anderson just yet on his debut with the club, coming over from South Logan. But Piara, good try. Just a little bit confused the players, let alone a young kid making his A-grade debut. So all in all, whilst the scoreboard is not reading favourably for the Tigers, they're certainly not out of this game, and they've come right back into it in that last 10 minutes. They just need to come out, start positively, control that footy, get a bit of luck, again rolling their way. You remember that, Dave, one of those, before that try, you remember the second try to Piera, that we had that perhaps controversial decision where he got dragged into the sideline. Yes. So referee made the call. That's the little bits of luck that you need to try and either extend your lead or to get back into matches. And to their credit, the Tigers, Scott Sippel will be, he'll have mixed emotions about that game. The first 30 minutes he probably will consign to history. The last 10 he'll be really pumping them up, getting them positive, getting them come out, play aggressively, control the footy, go through their paces and just continue to put the pressure on the Dolphins.
Gav, tell me this, has he got a blast in him, Scotty Sippel? Does he let him have it from time to time in that dressing room, or is he just a cool dude?
Never seen him lose his cool. I'm sure he does. But I think all coaches have got a good spray in them. But with the sprays, Dave, it's you've got to pick and choose your times.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure necessarily whether he'd be spraying them really in this instance.
Yeah.
But there's the right time for it, and I don't necessarily think this is the right time. Had they led 20-0 and got rolled up to 26-20 behind at halftime, that's when you probably give them a spray. But in this instance, you really want to encourage them, to continue that positive play, to continue that, looking forward to working hard for each other. And let's not forget, it's Old Boys Day. They've got plenty to play for. There's plenty of boys down in the beverage area having a few chilled ales, I'm sure, and I'm looking forward to getting down there after the call.
Mate, Johnny Lang, of course, the great Johnny Lang, played here, coached here. Is it right to say that he had a good spray in him, Langy, too, and you had to wear a raincoat if you were in the front row of the halftime talk, because Langy could really let go and spray going everywhere?
I'll never forget a game, David. We playing Brothers out at your old Corbett Park.
Brothers win that day?
Well, I don't know if they won, but they were certainly well in front at halftime, and the Gatorade took a flogging off the table. I was one of the last ones in, so I didn't necessarily see it, but I heard lots about it. But it was very unusual for Langy to do that, I will say. He's a very good coach, and he had some very good teams, and he was fortunate in that regard as well. But he had some ordinary teams as well, and he lifted them. So all the best, Langy. Hope you're out there. You might be down the Canberra as well, perhaps.
Yeah. Now, Mel, you're also heavily involved with the Queensland Rugby League. You work at the Queensland Rugby League. You've got involvement with, obviously, and very keen interest in the East women's team. Just quickly, for the Krispy Kremes report, what's the latest with the East women's footy team?
Yeah, so they played yesterday here at Suzuki Stadium, and they versed Ipswich Brothers, and they came out with the win in the last minute. Sheck scored in the last minute for a 24-22 win.
Excellent. All right, so the women have shown the way. Let's see if they can give a good example to the East Tigers. I'll be very surprised if they don't come out with a very powerful performance in this second half. Kick off by Torpy, as I say, got a big kick on him. This is quite a strong breeze in that in the second half, which will favour the... that's the tackle you want. That's exactly the tackle you want. First tackle of the game. It's one of the hardest ruck plays or any hardest runs you'll ever do is the run back from the kickoff. If you're doing a ruck play from a play the ball, the defence is not far away from you. But when they can line you up and hit, and that's just exactly what the Tigers wanted, Gav.
Yeah, look, it is, and it's the captain leading by example, Jake Foster, along with Anton Iaria, and it is exactly what the Tigers need. Let's just see if they can, get a controlled set here, perhaps put some more points on, but worst case scenario, if they don't, get a repeat set just to keep the Dolphins under pressure.
Okay, Oles will feed it very wide on this open side there to Torpy. He's got Joe Bond out the back. They've got an extra man. If they can exploit it, Bond almost gets through. Defence just getting to him. He's got it with 10 metres.
Go one.
You don't need to set up many more play here. Just put a few of your favourite plays on. Greeky there gets it to, again, the 10 metres. Good quick play the ball. Up there to Oles. Oles goes himself. A little bit uncertain there what was on. Had a pretty flat attack line that didn't really give him a lot of options. Oswald fires out the back there to Torpy. Back on the inside to Svensson. He gets it to a couple of metres out. So just steady here, nothing silly. Build it up. Oswald out of dummy half, goes himself. Wall of defenders there, he's not going to get across. Last tackle play. If you can't score a try, put it in goal area. Svensson out there to a Torpy, little grubber kick, does well to get it in behind the defensive line. They've just got a hold of it, the Dolphins. To Musa, I think it is, got it after it was tapped back to him. Good start here from the Tigers, and it'll be a goal line dropout. Good pressure build, Gav.
Yeah, look, Chris Oswald didn't throw that pass when he took that defence on, but gee, there was a couple of holes just on the edge of the ruck there. If he could have got it to one of his runners, I think it was Ione and Iaria coming through there, but did the right thing, took the option of the tackle. They get a repeat set. That's what we talked about, Dave. Just build this pressure.
And here's the kick into the wind. It's going to bounce awkwardly. They need to get it on the full. This could go anywhere. Just in time there. Back there was
it's Iaria.
Yep. The Tigers now with another chance to really get the Dolphins thinking. Ione, he's a big, strong fellow. Rolls them backwards. That's his job. Up there to Torpy. Couple of dummy runners. Looks out the back to Bond. Bond fires it straight out there to, I think it's Carey on that, no, Pierre it is, on that right-hand side.
Tackle 3, 1 foot. Go 3.
That was right the first time. It might have been Carey. Pass up this time. Nothing much happening there, but it's all in control. There's no panic stations.
Go 4, Marcus good.
Oles got runners coming in all directions. This time, pass up there to Pierre.
Square 9. Wait.
Last tackle play. Foster. I want to clear this quickly and neatly from the ruck play. Torpy, he's the kick man. Little grubber kick again. They're just putting it, trying to get it in behind there, but this time to Musa. Will get across the ball. And getting it just into the field of play. Still, this is the time to really, this is the bash area. This is the race up and really put some pressure on the opposition. Don't get offside because that'll release everything. The Tigers don't let them get easy territory. Run out of dummy half, brushes away from a marker. That shouldn't happen. Another break in the tackle. That's all too easy. That releases a lot of pressure. Good play, quick play the ball as well. I think that might have been Opacek who took that original ruck as he races out here on this right-hand side. Got well downfield. Last tackle play. Pass there to Fayoud.
Right side is
was
good.
Connected with the Bronx. Up there to McAnally. He's got plenty of room to move, but the defence converges.
16, 15 up.
Bond strolls into dummy half, has a bit of a look around. Finds Link Port. Again, plenty of defence there, and the speed men. If you want to run into 3 people, you want to use your speed to get away. Torpy does well to stand in the tackle, fires the pass up. This is a more controlled performance by the Tigers. They're not pushing those plays. Again, Port, second run in this set of 6. Maybe they're saving others for some more runs. Up there to Grinky. Grinky fires it up there to Iaria, yes. Torpy, little grubber kick in. We'll put pressure here on Musa. He's close to the touchline. Couldn't put him in a touch. Oh, don't do it now. That will be a penalty. You had your first chance, and that was the only one you really earned. He was off balance, Opacek as well. But got up.
6. Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, he was actually knocked to the ground in the field of play.
In the middle.
And really, Gav, that's not a smart penalty.
No, it's not a smart penalty, Dave. It doesn't cause them too much grief other than, you know, they get another set of 6 and they're not coming from right on that hard on that edge of the sideline as well, which is a hard place to attack from. But, you know, the Dolphins got out easily the first time this half, and let's see how they go.
Gary to play it up there to Cullen. Cullen looks on the outside to Rudolph.
Stand up and square.
Don't straddle like that. That's always a penalty. Once you caught straddled a man trying to play the ball, the referee is pretty much certain to give a penalty, even if it's accidental. You are restricting any quick play the ball. And another penalty will help the Dolphins. Absolutely essential here for the Tigers that they hold their try line intact. This time, Watts. Garrity's standing right, but Cullen's pointing left. Now he's pointing back to the right-hand side. He wants the big fella and Garrity to take it forward. That's exactly what's going to happen. Good enough to pass the ball back, then fires it up to Anderson. Anderson charging forward. The Tigers on the back foot. It's okay because all you got to do is make sure they don't get across your try line. Up there to Fayoud. Good tackle too. Up here to Bond. Bond's a fast player but can't get away from the desperate defence then. Good quick play the ball, son. Will allow a roll on. He does so. This time up to McAnally. Awkward pass out to Port. Port's got a bit of room to move. He's got Kerry on his outside as well. Goes himself, Port. Up over the halfway line. Oh, he's lost it.
Penalty.
Penalty, stripping. Well, they're in a lot of trouble, the Dolphins, after those couple of good breaks. And basically had to concede or decided to risk a penalty to try and save the day.
Yeah, I think it was Jake Foster again with a crunching tackle down there that unloaded it, would force the football from Fayoud's grasp, and then Bond took it downfield, and then Link Port, obviously the quick shift, which is the right thing to do to get it to the edge again, and Port took advantage, and a back-to-back penalty here again.
20 points to 10 in favour of the Dolphins on the black and white cab scoreboard. The Tigers now with another chance to launch an attack. Olds wants it on this left-hand side, gets it, does well to fire the pass up at the last minute. Pass on the outside then to Pierre. Pierre breaks through that tackle, fires it up to McAnally, a little bit of room to move, does well, no, can't stay in the field of play. Well, his intent was right, I think he had to cut in, but was just caught a little bit high, Gab.
Yeah, I just think Pierre could have gone another step or two. I just thought he offloaded that ball just a fraction too early. Having a good game down that edge, causing Opachik some trouble there. Just stepped out of his tackle again. Wasn't necessarily, you know, a flowing motion or a flowing movement, I don't think, down that side, but just showing his strength and his skill to get out of Tom Opachik's tackle there. And I just felt he could have just continued that run just for another fraction, maybe a second or two, a pace or two, and then perhaps got McAnally in a better position.
You're spot on, and McAnally then under a bit of pressure tried to cut back on the inside, but couldn't get down low enough. The cover defence got him. So again, somewhat off the hook, the Dolphins. And you're right, Gav, Opachik is known to be a very good defensive centre, so Perret, the young kid, is doing particularly well to give him a bit of trouble. This time the Dolphins to work it out of there. No easy meters, no missed tackles. That's what you want to do here. Get them to earn everything. Force them to kick against this wind. You're trying to milk a penalty. Good work from the referee. I like what I've seen from Belinda Sleeman today. She wouldn't even contemplate that for a milked penalty. Send him back to play it where he was. That's good refereeing. Cullen works down a blind side, goes himself. That's what the Tigers are going to do. They're going to shut down those breaks up the middle of the ruck. This time Rudolph. Rudolph gets it on the outside there to Pangai. He's been a little bit quiet today, Pangai. What he's done, he's been effective, but I don't think he's had a lot of ball as I can recall. Cullen goes across the ruck, put himself under pressure. Pass up there to Anderson. Last tackle play, the Tigers will want to put a bit of pressure on the kicker. Up here to Fayoud, they're going to run it. Pass up this time to Staggs, little chip over the top, it's a dangerous one. Oh, he's knocked it on, play on. Play on it is, they've got it back, the Dolphins. A little chip kick, wasn't urgent enough, the Tigers. They come, and he's given away a penalty. I think that's the correct decision. Could have flirted with a sin bin from that break in play. But a good little kick, Gav. Anytime you can get it to land just in behind the defensive line, you're going to trouble the defence.
Yeah, well, you got the attack or the attacking player having to come forward there, haven't you, to try and collect that football we saw in the first half. Just quickly, the Dolphins taking 2 points here to try and go out to a 12-point lead. But yeah, it was good play there. Just a winger in Linkport, just unsure whether he needed to come forward or not. Eventually chose to. Joe Bond attack the football again. You know, I think you have to do that. And I think in the finish, Joe Bond giving the penalty away and the 2 points potentially is a bonus for the Tigers, if you can say that. I know giving points away is never a good option, but in this instance, you know, I think that the Tigers' defence was quite rattled, still reforming, and potentially would, you know, more points might have eventuated if that penalty wasn't given. So if there's good penalties to give away, that was one.
Yep, and was marginal whether it would have been considered for a bin after. Normally they'll bin you if your side's been busted and you're really intentionally slowing things down to give a chance for players to get back, their own players. But I think that was probably again a fair enough call.
Come on.
And Staggs to try and add the extras. And he's a good player, plays, I understand, in the juniors. He's played in the backs and the back row. I guess that's not the versatility of the current day player, Gav, is pretty much the case. They, you know, a lot of those centres and back rowers almost interchangeable. 22 points to 10 on the black and white Cabs scoreboard in favour of the Dolphins. We've got around about just under 30 minutes to go, and the Tigers, well, they're still in it, but you got to play right at the top of your game.
Yeah, look, you do, David. You know, the top sides we mentioned earlier in the call. That, you know, the winner of this match potentially jumps up several positions into third place. Very tight competition. You know, last year's premier, the Hunters, sitting down towards the bottom of the field on 4 points, but that's only 2 points outside the top six going forward in this weekend. So you know, there's plenty of incentive there for both of these sides to go to 3 and 2 and be right in the hunt there for the with the top six in this early stages of the season.
Very, very tight comp, as you expect. This is only the 5th round, so you're not going to get much gapping at this stage. But Gav, you're spot on. After this round, I think there'll be 6 teams on equal third, and the next team's down. So the winner of this will be one of those, and then the next team's down will be equal ninth, and there'll be 5 teams on equal ninth. So critical play as the Dolphins get it up over the halfway line. Essential for the Tigers to hold their ground. Run out of dummy half there by the 17 in young fella Pratt. He fires it up there to Geraghty. Pratt working the dummy half roll now. Cullen, who's been busy today, as you'd expect, chips it back on the inside. Put a bit of pressure here on Joe Bond. Couldn't take it. Knock on. Play on it is. Play on to Pearson. Too easy for Pearson. Well, that kick, which went up to Bond, I think he had every right to take it. He had a little bit of pressure on him. He actually, I think, got a clear shot at it, but it came off his chest. You really got to use your hands in that situation to grab a hold of the ball. If it hits your chest, well, it's at risk of a rebound, and that's pretty much what happened there. And the Dolphins have gone length of the field after that penalty kick to with a little bit of luck at the back end, but you make your own luck to put on another try. Yeah,
you do make your own luck, David. You're exactly right. And you know, that again, that chip was bringing Joe Bond forward. That semi-bomb, I'll call it. It wasn't a full height bomb. A little bit of breeze out there, you know, can make it a little bit tricky, just pushing it away from Bond. You know, he had a good enough grab at it. There was competitors there from the Dolphins as well. They obviously didn't touch it. Bond just knocked it on, and it falls straight in the hands of Jonas Pearson, who skipped over the final 10 or so metres for what will be one of the easiest tries that he's scored in quite some time, I'm sure. And it's the Dolphins who now have skipped out to a 26-10 lead with a kick to come.
Yeah, the kick came from Cullen, and he did well, Cameron Cullen, to go down that blind side. It looked like he even put it on the outside of his right foot to bring it back infield a certain amount, which obviously is difficult then for a receiver to know where it's going to come down initially. Drilling kick that hit the upright, but it gives them a pretty handy lead in 26 points to 10 to the Redcliffe Dolphins on the black and white Cabs scoreboard. Tigers aren't out of it, Gab, but they're going to need to get their attacking machine into action.
Yeah, they will. And look, that's the taking your opportunities, isn't it? They had a couple of early opportunities. They score one of those, they're right back into the game right at the start of this half. But here at Suzuki Stadium, the Dolphins have taken full advantage of a couple of lapses in defence and errors by the Tigers to skip out to a very handy 26-10 lead with 25.5 minutes to go.
All the job in front of the Tigers now. They need to tighten up the middle of the ruck as Rudolph gets it up to about the 30-metre line.
Hold, go two. Keep coming
Not too much trouble getting out of dummy half. Pratt out of dummy half has caused some retreating defence. Either markers or the defensive line.
Yeah, the 16 on for East as well now, making his debut at the club in Jack Anderson, involved in that tackle and the preceding one. So well, let's just wish him all the best and see how he goes.
We'll just wait.
Well, the Dolphins aren't in any great hurry here. They'll settle themselves down.
We're right.
The Tigers will appreciate a little bit of a spell as well.
Yeah, Dave, I just like to pass on. Well, that kick doesn't go out on the full, so we might just go back to the call, mate. I'll get back to that in a minute.
He stripped it off Linkport, and he was only in a one-man tackle, even though there was somebody else standing around there. So Linkport had it stripped off him. They worked down a blind side straight away up there to Pearson. The Dolphins, after not finding touch, and then in frustration, they get in there and rip it out, and it worked pretty well for him. Staggs, good player, good runner. Can't get through that defensive line though. Olds has one to bring him down. Out of dummy half. Pass up there to Musa. Works down a blind side, but there's nowhere to go there. He still finds it somewhere to go. Musa, if he scores, this is a miracle. He had three players standing in front of him, and they were eyeballing him from a metre away. Well, that's his third try, Musa. Tony Musa, what a good mover he is, because he went down a blind side, and I thought initially, well, you've gone the wrong way. And he had a line of defenders that really a metre away eyeballed him. And he thought, well, look, I can try my old trademark footwork here. He does exactly that, gets away from those three, straightens up. He didn't go sideways as such. He jumped to the side and then took off. And he was a pretty classy player, Gav, but I reckon he should have been hitting a three-man tackle.
Been very impressed with him this afternoon. He's done some things that are quite special. You know, he's not the tallest player, probably a bit more solidly built in that style of player. And once he gets low and drives for that line, as he did in that instance, there was no chance for Joe Bond. You know, just ducked under a tackle there, seemed to, and then his acceleration, his speed off the mark was outstanding to get him through that line once the Tigers' defence had halted and believed that they had him cornered in that corner over there, but that wasn't the case. Musa just exploded off the mark again to get the Dolphins out now to a very comfortable 30-10 lead.
Okay, now can it be further extended? What do we got? A 20-point lead. Staggs, Katoni Staggs, who's kicked well today. Got a couple of easy penalties as I recall, but has hit the ball pretty well. He's a good striker of the ball. Not his preferred side, but he should kick this one. Kicks it. I reckon he's got it. Yes, he has. Just shaved it inside the right-hand upright. And on the black and white Cab scoreboard, we've got a scoreline in favour of the Dolphins by 32 points to 10.
Yeah, Dave. If I can just mention, we had a passing of a former player, a friend of mine, gone too soon at 63 years of age in John Munro. You know, Vale John Munro, and I'd just like to wish all the best to his wife Debbie and his children Luke, Kurt, Adam and Sammy. He'll be sadly missed. A great guy, and played here in the late 70s and into the early 80s, and a real champion bloke. Just a lovely guy, and you know, all of the Tiger supporters, you know, are feeling for the Munro family at the moment, and we wish them all the best.
Gav, just on that sad note, I should also mention on behalf of the commentary team and these supporters that the family that is Tiger TV that brings you this production, the Bogan family, unfortunately, Sue Bogan, wife of Daryl and mother of both Kelly and Andrew, who both work in the Tiger TV organisation. They've dedicated a lot to this. Unfortunately, Sue passed away after a long illness as the Dolphins go down that blind side. So we also give up our thoughts to the Bogan family for their passing of their much-loved wife and mother and wife and mother, I should say, in Subogan. Now the Dolphins have got it down again, pretty much length of the field. They've surrendered possession this time though, and what it means that the Tigers, well, they have a slim hope. Those last couple of tries will really cause some consternation. Let's see if they can do what they did in the first half and hit back with a couple of tries of their own.
Right, okay.
Back-to-back tries can make a big difference.
Heads in. East lock right in, please.
Have the other
Heads
team
in, ball in.
under a bit of pressure. Let's see what the Tigers can do getting their way out of here. McAnally tries the big step but can't get through.
Wait. Go one.
The Tigers bringing it out. That might be Little.
Stand and square. Hold.
Yes, it is.
Go two.
Ash Little. Punishing defence. And Svensson won't give in either. He might have been hit hard the first time, but he kept fighting to go forward. Good effort by Svensson. He wouldn't surrender after that first hit. Under 16 in Jack Anderson.
Stand markers.
We've got to get a bit of forward play going, and then let's see what these backs can do. Tigers charging up into the Dolphins territory.
Go.
Last tackle play. Holes under a bit of pressure, not a good kick, so he has to chip down the blind side play on. And that could be 6 to go. No, she's not going to, the referee, I should say.
Penalty to East.
No, penalty against East. Sorry, number 3.
Offside. Based on the advice of the touch judge, she's got when the ball bounced around. Now, I thought the Tigers kicked it into a Dolphin, and then ultimately a man in front of the kicker picked the ball up. So I guess he was in front of the kick at the start.
Yeah, I don't think it was a charge down, Dave. I think your call there is pretty precise, mate. You know, I think much to the chagrin of the Tigers supporters, I think they got that one right.
Okay, well, can the Dolphins capitalise? They've just done back-to-back tries. Opacek fires the pass up through the hands of Pratt initially.
9, stand up! To me here, wait! Go one.
Pratt again. Big fella there in Anderson.
8, stand! Here and hold.
Steadily roll their way up the field. This time Rudolph, first try scorer in this match.
Stand up together!
Cullen was standing left side in a blind side. He's faded across to this right-hand side. See will they create an extra man by doing that. Fayoud almost through. Desperate defence.
Let's start here.
Jack Anderson was one to bring him down.
4.
Pratt.
13
Again, Cullen standing wide, but the width gives him a little bit of opportunity to step around. He sparses the defence. Pangai, the big fellow, tries to keep working his way to the try line, close to the touch line. Tigers do well to hold him out there. This time Cullen deep, you've got to be. Crossfield kick. Has he got enough on it? Yes, it was good height. Was it not called by the Tigers? Yes, unlucky for the Tigers. They were the ones who got their hands first to it. And it'll be a scrum packed to the Dolphins.
Yeah, look, you know, the kicking game from Redcliffe Dolphins has been probably one of their strong suits this afternoon. There's been a number of instances where they've popped those little kicks over or shorter kicks through that have caused the East defence some issues. Another one there, just a well-placed little chip bomb to as they do the 2 or 3 in defender, just to give their big men an opportunity to come through and get up for that ball. So you know that the Tigers are under immense pressure here again with you know, back-to-back sets. They haven't had the football for a little while now, and let's see how they go holding the Dolphins out here.
Cullen, oh, not a good pass. Under pressure he was to Musa. He hangs on, and what a good game to Musa has had. Great hands there. It still goes very close to the try line. A bit of pace and evasion and good handling skills as well. I think he was a junior Kiwi, so he's got a bit of a pedigree there. Fayoud up this time to Rudolph, fends off one, goes again. Tigers desperately hanging on, a little bit short on that left-hand side, but come back down the right-hand side. Up there to Fayoud, gaping hole in the defence. Tigers will get back in time, but they won't get out of their own in-goal area, so the pressure continues.
Yes, it does indeed, and it's another set. So the Tigers, the Dolphins just grinding away, wearing away, doing all the things that their coach Adam Mogg would love to see. You know, just despite the lead that they have, they just continue to work their patterns to keep grinding away, as I say. You know, working the Tigers' defence over left, right, up the middle, and just waiting for that error. Your call there, Dave, was spot on. There was a half a break, half a gap there. Short kick.
Short kick, and they've got it. They've knocked it back. That should be play on for the Tigers. Well, they rolled the dice. They did well. Opacek was there to try and catch it on behalf of the Dolphins, but they did well through. I think it was Port who got up and knocked it back. That's a dangerous action as well, because that means the Dolphins were still coming through and could have picked up the ball after it had been knocked back by the Tigers. They try and work it out of their own danger zone. This time Svensson got a good work rate, Gav.
Yeah, look, he's impressed me this afternoon. He does, you know. He's a no frills player, you know, playing in the middle there. His work rate is quite high, and he's a very powerful runner as well.
It'll be good for the Tigers to finish on a high here. They, as we say, they've been ravaged by injury to most of their key players, or many of their key players, I should say, and that's made it very difficult this afternoon. Certainly if you have to, for the first time after those injuries. Nice work here by Musa, hasn't he? Got a good step on him, does well too to break a few more. Good balance as well. I like those guys who can swerve and get a great body angle to the ground, but still not necessarily be knocked over. Tom Opacek up over the 40-metre line. Makes that last surge into the fence, rolls everyone back again. Here comes Pearson. Certainly pummeled the Tigers line. They've left a couple down in their wake as well. Pass it back on the inside that time by the big fellow in Pangai. They're also roving now, the centres and wingers, left and right side. The two front rowers linking up there. This time Taylor. Last tackle play. They've got to survive one more, the Tigers. Can they? Punishing or very strong kick up there to McAnally. McAnally did well to recover. So we've got a man down, Gav.
Yeah, just got Musa just limping along a little bit in the backfield there after that last run. I don't know if it's his legs or his lungs, Dave. I think he might be a bit tired.
Probably both. And that's part of our CMBM injury report. To Musa with a fairly strong strapping on thing. The Tigers now go on the attack again. Up this time to the number 16, I think it is, in Jack Anderson. Into Dolphins territory. Port will run out of dummy half. No, he doesn't. Just fires it up there to Torpy. Torpy takes them on. Got to get a quick play the ball if you're going to do that as a settling ruck. Otherwise, we haven't achieved much. Port. Half back out of play. Winger kicking. Wobbly old kick. Picked up this time by, I think that's Pearson. So I reckon they're chopping and changing some of their positions, these guys. Run out of dummy half there by Pangai. Maybe displayed it over here earlier. Pangai to add a bit of variety to the attack. There's a big lad in Scott Schultz. I think he may have only just come on, Gab. I don't recall him, so he's fresh.
Seen him before.
Got a white, very white jersey. Strong game by Taylor as well. He's run the ball up well. Pratt kicks out of dummy half. And it goes dead and over the dead ball line. So the Tigers with a chance for a 7-tackle set to take it up the other end of the park.
And Dave, you know, I think part of the superiority of the Dolphins this afternoon, again in the second half, has come with the reintroduction of those two front rowers in Anderson and Taylor. You know, you called them before and offload one to the other. They've just pushed that middle section, that middle third. They've really worked hard through there, and the Tigers have had a retreating defence for quite some time.
Yeah, they'll take a lot of energy out of you as well if that's the case. Pierre, the young guy, Pierre, has done quite well in his... was his debut game? Yes, it was. The Tigers under a bit of pressure. Cullen flashes through to pick it up on the run. Keeps going, Cullen. Cameron Cullen, I think he went down to one of the NRL clubs in Sydney a couple of years ago. Back here now in the Intrust Super Cup. Straight up the middle comes the big fellow in Graham. In a dummy half, Pratt. Cameron Cullen, was it Manly last year, was it, that he spent a bit of time, or recently?
Yeah, in the Titans as well, Dave.
Pratt runs out of dummy half, looks to support so Fayud. To Musa again, little rubber kick through. Good chance here for Joe Bond. Just can't get away from that desperate tackle by Opacek. Tigers to work it out of there. They've got to be quick here, and they normally are pretty good, the Tigers, on those quick play the balls. Play here by Aono.
Go 3.
Link Port.
11-8.
Slow and steady.
He's tried hard, Port, today.
Yeah,
in the middle
he
of the
has.
ruck there a bit, hasn't he,
And
throughout the game?
I'm pleased about that too, Gav, because I think a couple of games we've seen previously, he hasn't done a lot wrong, but he wasn't involved as much as I would have liked to see him, and I think he's got involved. Torpy throws the dummy almost through. Had Toot coming up on the outside, going toot, 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 ready to back up, but couldn't get the hands free. Little grubber kick through, and just into touch. They called it back. He's called it into touch. McAnally is shocked. He's standing down there in front of the beer can stadium down there, and he can't believe he thought he had his balance just to pop it back on the inside.
Yeah, again, David, I had a pretty good look at that, and I think they got it right, but and thus denying Kia Piera his second try for the afternoon. But you know, that's just those little variations that haven't quite worked for the Tigers this afternoon. You know, they've been there or thereabouts on a couple of occasions. That one there, you know, whilst it's not impossible to come from where they are, they really probably needed to make the most of that to get some incentive and a bit of momentum perhaps to make a late charge, but wasn't to be. So yeah, like the match continues. Just a couple of players with cramp pulling up here now and sucking in a bit of water, so late in the afternoon they're all getting a bit thirsty.
As we all are. Let's see what the Dolphins can do from here to work it back out again. They've done this pretty well today. We said they are a big side, but that's good, strong defence by the time. But it didn't put him on the ground. I know that it's the right tactic to hit and hold in that circumstance. Put him on the deck. Let's see if they can get Rudolph to the deck. That's what you've got to do. Put him on the deck on that last effort in your tackle, and you'll save yourself a couple of seconds. Now the Dolphins getting to almost the 40-metre line. Cullen's had a good game. Looks on the inside, goes outside, runs himself, comes out the other side. Cameron Cullen, what a good game he's had. He'd have to be, what, Gav, late 20s at least, would he? So he's, you know, he's had a good career already, but geez, he's looked pretty good today. Yeah,
he's been good wherever he's gone, Dave. You know, down to those Sydney clubs when he's given his opportunity, he didn't. He certainly made every post a winner. You know, he's been at Burleigh. He's here at the Dolphins now as well, and you know, he's picked up a couple of premierships as well along the way.
That wasn't knocked on, but it came off knees. I thought the player then that picked it up might have been. He's going to be called the knock on, so we'll come back now for a changeover. But he's really had a go. I guess being Wayne Cullen's son, you wouldn't be surprised if he'd be tenacious, because Wayne certainly was that sort of player.
Yeah, look, he was, and you know, he's been really good. You know, he attacks the line, is what I like about him. He takes the footy to the line, he digs right in, and then he gets the unload away, or if he sees half an opportunity, he punches through and tries to get his hands free, as he did just in that instance there. So you know, that was really, really good play from Cullen. I've been impressed with him, obviously. Their fullback Musa has been quite good as well. For the Tigers, I've liked the workload that Grenke's done. I think he's been their best, and along with you know, young Olds and also Piera.
I need to apologise to Cameron Curran. I had him, Cullen, I had him late 20s. He's 24. He's only a young fella.
Well, that's late-ish, sort of.
He plays with a lot of experience, let's say. He played very smart today, and I like the way he's taken the line on when and where required. Torpy, little rubber kick through, puts a bit of pressure on. Guess who's there again? Cullen. Oh, what a good game he's had. Raced back from what was about third in from the left in a defensive position to make sure he picked up that Torpy kick. There's 7 minutes to go, so 32 points to 10 at the black and white Cabs scoreboard in favour of the Dolphins. What an important match, as we said. The Dolphins will now go to 6 points and probably join another 5 teams in equal third. And the Tigers will stay on 4 and join another 4 teams, 5 including them, on equal 9th. So, important match. The Dolphins, I think, lost their first 2 games, so
yes,
they won
did.
3 in the try.
Yep.
The Tigers, on the other hand, oh, not a good kick by Fayed. Good pressure put on him as he stepped back up the middle of the ruck. He was always in traffic, and that's never going to be easy to get a clearing kick away.
Isn't that the same situation as happened before with the Tigers, Dave? I mean, I thought those players were in front of him to pick the ball up. I don't necessarily know that it was a charge down. I think he was trying to make a tackle, Grenke, and anyway, we've got to go with the refs there, I guess.
Yep. I think Grenke was coming forward. It looks like Grenke's getting a bit of attention. Again, he's a workaholic. You can see that his leg is still heavily strapped from that cork he had about 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Are we right?
So
Yep.
the Tigers, well, I'll say they've tried hard. They've been busted a few times up the middle, but have tended to try and scamper back in defence. They've been undermanned and underpowered today, but you've got to get on with the job. And there's a long season in front. Those players will come back in due course. The likes of Drinkwater and Billy Walters will be out for a little while.
You've got to give him room. You're all over
Kafusi
him.
will be back next week, and he'll make a big difference soon. That penalty goes to the Tigers. And nice to get the firepower back, but you've got to do the job while they're away. Let's see if they can do. They finished the first half with the last 2 tries. Let's see if the Tigers can do something similar in this second half. Oles fires the pass up there. Toot has got it.
17 off
Short
the
pass
arm.
off
It's
Oswald.
square. Hold.
He gets into a dummy
one.
half. They go down that right-hand side up there to Torpy. Torpy goes himself.
Eye contact.
And a penalty.
No,
Is
he's
it
in front of
high-ish?
you.
High tackle, I think, yes.
Him. He just walked straight past you.
Again prepared to take on the line.
Going.
That's good.
This time, Aoni.
13, 17 up.
Nice to see the
29,
Tigers
hold.
finish with a
Hold.
flurry.
Go one.
Just a settler there from Toot.
Extend. Square
The
marker,
biggest front
13
rower
weight.
you've seen, but he certainly
two.
has a huge work rate. Torpy goes to the line a little bit, fires it up there to Bond. Good pass over the top. It was to Port. Now that's a good try. That's what the Tigers are renowned for. That flashy football. I'm sure there'll be a few players in the reunion, the East Old Boys Day, that would remember that sort of spectacular play. But a good pass initially, good try actually. If you think about it, Torpy did well to straighten up the attack with a couple of paces that held the defence. He popped it into a looping fullback in Joe Bond, and Bond then the looping pass right over the top of a potential defender, and in doing that got it outside there to Link Port. So they've done what East did in the first half. They've got at least one late try.
Yeah, look, and that was really good play, wasn't it? You know, they took the opportunity, they take the advantage with those sweep plays. There's often a mismatch in numbers. Usually the attack will finish up with a player or two, and then it's just a matter of the ball runner then. And in this instance, it was Joe Bond just picking the right person to hit that football with. They've played short. They've played short to their edge second rowers out there, and they've also played short and gone out to kind of Carey, I think it is, out on that side. But in this instance, Bond just looped that ball over the top of Jonas Pearson. He was in position to try and knock the ball down at worst, but the pass beat him over the top, and Linkport flying down the sideline to score right in the corner.
Here's the kick from Torpy, strikes it nicely. What a great kick from the touchline by Jaden Torpy. And, well, that just gives them a few points to work on for next week, 32-16. So they've doubled their score, the Dolphins. And they aren't in any hurry at all, as you'd expect, with only under 3 minutes now up to full time. They've come here to do a job, and it's interesting, Gav. I mean, as you would expect, East have got a very good record here at Suzuki Stadium, and good effort there for the visiting team to come here and on this occasion get the home boys.
Yeah, they have, Dave. You know, here earlier in the year with Tiger TV, they went down to the Ipswich Jets as well. So you know, it's a couple of losses that they won't be all that fond of. It'll be interesting to see if they. If they can regain that dominance. I think they had a number of back-to-back wins towards the end of last year, and so you know that's you want to take advantage of that home field advantage as best you can, because you don't get the hostilities obviously that you do get at the away ground. So, and with the Intrust Super Cup as it is these days, there's a bit of travel involved, which you know these players should be starting to get used to. Papua New Guinea's up to Cairns, you know, as far away as that, down to the Tweed and so forth, but they should be professional enough now that they can pick some away wins up, but at the moment it's best to win those home games.
And Gav, there's been some great rivalry over the years between these clubs. Of course, Redcliffe have won 8 grand finals in the Intrust Super Cup competition. Come Queensland Cup, it was previously known as a knock-on in the play the ball there could be costly. But I can remember one great grand final, Gav, whether you recall, I think it might have been 1997, Redcliffe and East were in front late in that game, Gav, weren't they?
Yeah, look, we...
Who coached that game?
That would have been me.
Sorry,
DJ had to pick up my pen and my clipboard and everything after I tossed it towards the end of the match. You know, we were well in that game, and, you know, the Dolphins were heavy favourites.
Yeah.
In fact, we led them probably up until the last minute or two when, unfortunately, we couldn't execute a kick downfield, which may have got us the win, but out on the full, and the Dolphins were just overpowering us towards the latter part of that match. Number of injuries as well, which caused us some issues. But anyway, we beat them in 77 and 83, Dave, so that was getting one back.
And that was your playing days then, Gab, was it?
Two comps in those days as well.
All right, let's see if the Tigers can hold out the Dolphins for this last hurrah. We're inside the last minute. Pass up this time to Patima. Good, strong run there by the big front rower in Taylor.
Coughed it up, Dave.
He's lost it as well, so good strong defence as well by the Tigers. Picked up there strongly also by Ash Little. Again, the 8 and 10 for the Tigers aren't two of the biggest men around. Admittedly, they've had a fair bit of big support off the bench. Chute, there's one of the front rowers, and the Dolphins defence intent on not letting any easy territory at this stage. Worth throwing it around. Pass out the back there to Bond, out there to Carey. Carey makes a bit of a break. Cover defence it was by Pengai. Throw it around, fellas. You may as well. Little chip over the top. That's a good attacking play. Just and Staggs picks it up. He's got support coming in to Musa. He's already got 3 tries. The number 1. Good work though to fall back by the East defence in Piera. And that is the full-time hooter. That is the match, the 5th round of the Intrust Super Cup. The Dolphins have been victorious. They have been pretty much dominant throughout the match. They have won the match by 32 points to 16. They led by 20 points to 10 at half-time after having led 20-0 at one stage in the first half. The Tigers fought back well in those latter minutes of the first half to get it back to 20-10. But Gav, at the end of the day, the Dolphins were the better side. They deserved to win, and they've come here and done the job they had in mind.
Yeah, look, they certainly have, David. They were impressive all afternoon. They right from the first kickoff when they scored those couple of tries in the first few minutes of the match, they've been pretty dominant for the whole afternoon, bar that 10-minute period just before halftime where the Tigers got back into it with those 2 quick tries. But, you know, full credit to the Dolphins. They, as you said during the call, again, lost their first 2 games. They've picked up their next 3. Since then, the Tigers are a bit more hit and miss. You know, win here, loss there, and so forth. But you know, Scott Sipple's got plenty to work with there. And as we mentioned earlier, you know, when those other boys come back in, some of our longer-term injuries. I think Billy Walters is out for 6 weeks at least with that thumb. Yep. You know, Tommy Butterfield probably not due back until late in the season with shoulder surgery. Yeah. So they've basically just got to let them go.
So I'm just going to butt in there. Yeah, no, I was talking to Tommy Butterfield just before the game started. He said he's out for about 3 months, so if he does come back, it will be for the finals, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that's another blow. And then they had the halfback out there today, and Brandon Smith is one of the best players that I understand in the Intrust Super Cup. He's only a sniff. Obviously, Cameron Smith. He's the understudy to Cameron Smith at the Melbourne Storm, and he gets injured today. So I said during the call, I don't know whether there's any broken mirrors around here, black cats or ladders, but you can't get a much worse injury toll than that. And a lot of it's occurred in the last 2 weeks. We were 2 weeks ago. Yep. We had Scott Drinkwater, running riot in the other televised match. He probably was the player of the match in that game. They have been very strong. You know, Billy Walters, as we mentioned. So, I mean, there's some savage injury blows. You can't make excuses. We all know that, Gab. But you know, even as a coach, you got to be, and as the players, you got to be thinking, this is a tough road to hoe. Yeah,
Dave. Look, you know, it can be a tough ask at the moment with what they've done. But on the flip side, you know, you've got some younger players coming in, making their debuts. You know, getting a bit of experience so that you know they understand what speed of the game. They pick up the understanding of the toughness of the game as well. You know, they're coming from under 20s and these sorts of grades that they do. You know, playing a little bit of reserve grade here and there as well. But you know, to come up to this level, it is a very, very high standard of football that we do have here in the Intrust Super Cup, and so that can benefit down the track if these players, you know, get that opportunity again. I don't think any of them were disgraced this afternoon. You know, I thought Kia Piera had a really good game for his debut. Jack Anderson didn't get a lot of time, but didn't do anything wrong, and Ollie Oles did some good things as well. So you know, if they get another couple of opportunities, 2 or 3 games over the next few weeks, and then perhaps drop back down to their lower grades again to gain a bit more experience, they take that experience back with them and help to lift those younger kids down there again as well, Dave, and bring them up for potentially that they can come up and play in that Queensland Cup, that Intrust Super Cup level. So you know, not the best day for the Tigers this afternoon. Some positives that they can certainly take out of it, but you know, I think that the killer blow for the Tigers today, Dave, was that they would just loose up the middle with those quick play the balls at those big Redcliffe forwards that you called right at the start of the game. Big forward pack. They got the advantage up the middle and allowed Cullen and these guys to be able to zip through the middle of the ruck, and you know, Opachik on one instance as well, straight through. So I think that was the difference that I saw today. Yeah.
What about Musa? I know it's the first time you've seen him. Junior Kiwi previously. I think he's had some association with the Storm. I don't know whether he's on the well, he probably isn't on their Storm books at the moment. So he's obviously an up-and-coming young player. Got a hat-trick of tries. Pretty much dangerous every time he ran the ball.
Very impressive, David.
Yeah.
You know, the way that he attacked the football, the way that his running style. You called him as a good balanced runner as well. You know, he's got acceleration, which he showed for one of his tries. He's got strength. He's got power. So you know, he's probably got all the makings of a good footballer. He's probably got a lot of outright speed as well. We didn't necessarily see that today, although that first try that he scored, he did show a clean pair of heels once he picked that opportunity down the short side. So very impressed. Haven't seen him play before, but very impressed with the first outing. Looking forward to seeing him again.
One of the things I mentioned during the call, Gab, was that ability to swerve and keep your balance. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the great Johnny Gleeson, and yet Johnny Gleeson was terrific with that ability that some guys, well, this is different to a sidestep, they actually can swerve and get a real angle to the ground, but somehow can maintain their balance. And this kid, that's not the only evasive skill he's got, but he certainly had great balance.
Yeah, but not only that, Dave, they don't lose any speed at the same time, do they? I mean, you know, some people when you step or swerve, you do drop off your speed a bit, and that allows the defence just again that split second to gain another metre or two to get to you. They don't lose that. Musa didn't seem to me to lose any of his speed at all. In fact, he probably comes out of that. You know, in instances there, Dave, as well, where we called during the game where someone would get half a hand to him and they'd spin him half around, then he accelerated again and then beat another player. So you know, just seems to have the full kit bag of skills to really go well on this level.
What about your overall assessment of Redcliffe? I think they, in some way, got East on a tough day. But how do you see Redcliffe sitting in the overall scheme of things, comparing some of the other sides that are in the competition? I think we've got Burleigh, who's undefeated still. Norths are going very strongly in those top 2 positions. Redcliffe, when you think, as we've mentioned, lost the first 2. 3 wins now in a row. Is that 4? They're running 4th, yeah. So they're really on a bit of a roll there. They've got to be one of the strengths.
Yeah, look, Dave, as I said during the call, you know, the Tigers and the Dolphins are used to playing finals football. That game catapults the Dolphins up into that top 4 at the moment, or top 6 in 4th position, and that's where they expect to be. The Dolphins are a very successful club right back through the days. You know, Bunny Pierce, Tony Obston, those guys that you would have played against, mate. I didn't, but they were my idol as a team growing up.
Artie Beetson played at Redcliffe, won a grand final in 1965, playing in the centres. So,
yes.
And that was really in the early days of the Redcliffe Dolphins, the very early days of the Dolphins. So you're right, they've got a great tradition. Even in the Queensland Cup, they won 5 grand finals. They were in they were in 11 grand finals in a fairly short period of time from the start of the Intrust Super Cup, or the Queensland Cup it was called then, in the mid-90s. They dominated to a large extent. They were almost in every grand final. They were very strong. And I think of the 5, they actually won 5 of 11, but there was about 3 that there was a couple of points in it, you know, so they just got pipped as well. So they were very strong in those days, albeit I think it might be nearly 20 years, maybe not 20 years, maybe was it 2006 when they last won a grand final?
Yeah.
See, it's a bit like the Broncos. You know, they are one of the yardstick clubs of the Intrust Super Cup.
Yes.
As is East Tigers, I might add, a fantastic complex here, and we'll get to their premiership aspirations shortly. But you've got a side like the Dolphins, They haven't won a premiership for a long time either, and the Broncos are saying, look, we're due, you know, we're here to win premierships. Redcliffe would be the same ilk.
And David, I think that sort of coincides a bit with the competitiveness that's come in as part of the NRL side, you know. So there's just not that. We may not see that dominance again at this level, you know. You go back to the St George sides, and no one will ever see 11 premierships in a row. I mean, that's just one for the history books. But you know, I just think that the competition is so competitive. Before today's game, only 2 of the sides from last year's top 6, admittedly very early in the season, were in the top 6, and that was I think it was the Townsville Blackhawks and the Sunshine Coast Falcons. So you know, Papua New Guinea I called. You know, they're down in that team in 9th place in that position. So you know, they were a standout of the comp last year. The other sides that made the finals obviously were Redcliffe East and South Logan. Now, see, South Logan had a big win today over Winner Manly, so they will come up a step or 2 as well. So you know, it's still a sorting out process, I guess, at the moment, and just seeing who can get some consistency. If a club can go on a run of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 games, 5 wins in a row, as the Dolphins are currently on, you know, it can catapult you right from being nowhere effectively to well up and in tune with the competition. And
of course, you know, we're on Tiger TV, so the Tigers, East Tigers, have been very successful over the years. We mentioned a number of premierships you've been involved in. I mean, they've been in a few grand finals in the Queensland Cup, but not actually won one. So this would be another club who's working very hard behind the scenes to build a good side, and the association with the Melbourne Storm has got to be a good thing. Sure, they've had a hiccup here with some injuries, but East Tigers, well, they're one of the front runners as well. They're going to they'll need to recover through this period, but they're one of the sides that'll be aspiring to win it. Yeah,
look, Dave, absolutely, and they aspire, and they have very high expectations as well. You know, from Brian Torpey, the CEO, right down through the committee and so forth. You know, I think we've been in 4 grand finals since the last premiership, which was the 1991, back in the old BRL days. You know, a couple of good names, and Craig Ingebrigtsen's lost a couple here in 13-14, I think it was. I think Michael Booth lost one extra time game against Burleigh at Lang Park or Suncorp Stadium, if I seem to remember.
That was about 20 odd minutes of extra time. It was,
and then of course the infamous '97 grand final, which we were dead unlucky to lose. But anyway, that's another story.
So this era, obviously, and I think East looked like they got a very good side once they get all their players on the park. So today wasn't successful for them, but they'll certainly be competitive, I'm sure, as the season wears on. The initial jolt of losing those players is hard to come to grips with. After a week or so, you can say, okay, we just got to knuckle down and do the job.
Look, I don't think by any means that the club will be panicking. Scott Civil will be panicking at all. I think that, you know, they showed enough today. They've just got to tighten up that middle. You know, a little bit of size. Maybe they need to shuffle around that starting pack a little bit to get a bit more size there. But there's reasons why Ioni's coming off the bench, and Scott will be aware of that. So by no means are they out of the competition at all. I think they travel up north to play the Pride next week, if I remember rightly. A TV game up there, so that'll give us another good look at them to see how they're going. But there's plenty to like about the Tigers. There's plenty of good depth. A 26-all draw in reserve grade today, where they have a few players running around there as well.
They came back in that draw too.
Yeah, you know, a couple of wins as well in the 18s and 20s. So the 18s haven't been going that well in the Mel Meninga. The 20s in the Hastings Deering Cup have been going a little better. So you know, the signs are promising there. That it's a winning club with a winning culture. I know personally from being associated here that the last premiership being 1991 is something that is really unbalancing and unsettling for the Tigers. You know, they've just got to get whatever that little 1% is to you know, just find that successful season to get that monkey off the back to an extent. It can become so. You know, we'll continue to call them and watch them and wish them all the best.
And maybe Mel's done all the half-time and injury reports for us today. Maybe the East women's team, Mel, might be the ones who'll be the flagship this season, because they're going okay.
Yeah, they are. They're obviously there's always a bit of improvement to do, you know, with any team. But you know, it was a really good win for them yesterday. Very promising against Ipswich Brothers, who have been the front runners of the competition. So I know the girls will get a lot of confidence out of that win, and you know, strive to be better. each and every week after that.
And just refresh my memory, how many teams in this in the women's competition?
6 teams in Division 1.
And that's the South East Queensland.
South East
grouping, is it?
Queensland.
So what teams are they apart from East and Ipswich?
Yep. So we've got Burleigh, Burleigh Bears. We also have Souths and Biwa. No, not Biwa. Toowoomba.
Okay.
Toowoomba.
Yeah.
So they're the only ones that are outside of the southeast.
And how long do you play everyone once or twice, or what's the competition?
Yeah, I think it's about 2 to 3 times. Because we do have to, because the women's competition has to finish a bit earlier this year with the announcement of the NRL premiership.
Yep.
Yeah, ends in July. So.
And is a number of our girls either already played at a higher level, or have we got others now that are aspiring to perhaps be signed by? I know the Broncos have got a team in the girls' competition.
Yeah,
in the
that's
NRL.
correct. We have 2 of our girls that are playing for East Women's side that have been contracted to the 40 squad,
Okay.
40-person squad.
With the Bronx.
No, they haven't assigned them yet to the team.
Okay,
So they've named the initial 40.
Yes.
The 40 squad, 40 players.
Yep.
So
What are we seeing in terms of the growth of women's rugby league, not only at this level, but are there second tier levels and other competitions springing up?
Yeah, so there's an under 18s competition. There's an under 15s and under 13s. So they're doing. Obviously, there's a lot of growth.
Yeah.
From last year, and it's really good to see.
And wasn't it good to see a female referee out there today too?
It's
Belinda
excellent to
Sleeman.
see.
I thought she did a good job,
Yeah,
Gav, didn't she?
yeah.
I think, I couldn't see anything greatly controversial, a couple of close calls, but I think she did a very good job. And I think it's, as I understand it, I don't think there's any female yet has refereed an NRL. There are a couple that are very close to getting there, I think. So that's a real credit to her, and to actually handle herself the way she did, I think looks all good for her future.
Yeah, look, David, I agree. You know, the referees have the final say, and no matter how often you challenge them, they certainly have never made changed their call. They might have put the arm up the wrong way once or twice.
Yep.
Usually when they're playing the Tigers, but you know, from that point of view, you know, there were a couple of 50-50 calls out there today, and I thought that, you know, in probably all instances that from my experience, I thought the right call was made. Yeah. So you know, that's the team of officials working together, not just Belinda, but a touch judges who are helping her make those decisions as well. So you know, it is good, and you know, it's not. You know, I'm just amazed by the explosion, not because I don't think it should have happened. Don't get me wrong. I believe that the women's sport, you know, the female cricketers, I didn't hear of them, you know, 5 or 6 years ago. There was no women's AFL. There was no women's rugby league. So to the credit of all those organisations, and there's many more, I'm sure, that in those situations as well, where there haven't been competitions for the ladies in the past, where there are now, and it just opens up a whole Pandora's box, so that they can go and play the game that they love, where previously they haven't been able to for one reason or another.
What I thought was really good today, Gav, because as you know, we get all the microphone from the referee and the crowd noise coming in through our headphones. And I thought there was no swearing out there today. Do you think that was less or more than what we normally get? What do you think?
I think I put a little expletive into the commentary there at one stage, Dave.
I missed that.
I'm not sure if the boys could have beeped that out or not. But anyway, we'll see how we go. But yeah, look, you know,
the female referee wouldn't have anything to do with that, though, would they? She would have influenced swearing. Do you think the boys would curtail the swearing? Wouldn't worry, you know. I mean, if she was worried about that, you know, she's in the wrong place. And I'm sure it'd be just you go in with eyes open, I would think. Mel, what's your thoughts on that? I know you're involved with the NRL as well in the development side of things. It's just great to see. I mean, how many female referees have we got? I'm not sure. It's a question without notice, so I won't put that right on you. But I've seen the touch judges coming through as well. Great to see Belinda out here today refereeing. So it's just another area where the girls can get involved in the game and add value. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the best referees in the future are women. And I don't say that condescendingly. It's just that, you know, there are women who've just got a better way of just, you know, handling the situation. And I look forward to, seeing more of Belinda refereeing, but also more women involved. It's been good.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, we've had a great game here at Suzuki Stadium this afternoon. It's been largely a dominant performance by the Redcliffe Dolphins. They led by 20 points to 10 at half time, then got away to a very strong effort in the second half. They went on to put on, and I haven't got my share, so I have 32 points to 16 in the long run. They looked strong for most of the day. Some pretty impressive tries. Rudolph got a try early in the first half, and then Musa put on a double. East, to their credit, came back and got 2 tries. And at half time, Gab, we're thinking, well, they got some chance. They certainly were under a lot of pressure in that first half, but they'd given some glimmer of hope.
Yeah, and look, and they had a little bit of the play early in the first half. You remember the first tackle of the second half was a split possession, yes, with Jake Foster making that tackle, and so they did have an opportunity. They got a repeat set on the back of that. They almost got the ball and didn't go for a second repeat set, and that's just the game of inches and millimetres that we talk about. You know, if they can get a second repeat set there with a dropout, you know, perhaps the situation changes. Perhaps they get a try or another penalty, and then they can just get right back into the game. But that wasn't to be the case. After that, Redcliffe's dominance took over again, Dave.
Got to 22-20 with a penalty that Redcliffe took, not unsurprisingly, to get that 12-point buffer. They took a penalty early, and then we had that cross infield kick by Cameron Cullen.
Yes.
Couldn't be taken by, I think it was Joe Bond, and Pearson came through to get the ball and score the try. So that really gave the little kick along that perhaps East were looking for, just off a loose ball. I think most of the time East scrambled well, but they did on a couple of occasions throw, passes in traffic, or perhaps there are times when you just got to close out the play. You can't give it back to the opposition in that situation, and otherwise you'll pay the price.
Yeah, look, you've got to play the position of the game as well, the state that the game's in. You know, there's some instances where you can attempt to push those passes. Today, perhaps they weren't quite on. Although, as I said during the call, I don't mind that. If you're going to make an error, make it when you're trying to be creative or something. But yeah, look, they just weren't there today, the Tigers. You know, that early burst, they sort of never really recovered from, David. I don't think. You know, they keep going back to that first 2 tries in the first few minutes of the game. They tried hard. They were spirited. They kept their defensive line intact for a good long period of time after those first 2 tries, and then got back into the game. But it just wasn't to be for East this afternoon.
Musa got his 3rd try with that beautiful bit of footwork away from some defence that had sort of stopped in their run, and then the Tigers did score the last try of the match, as I recall. Good little play, brought a Bond in, and then the pass right out to
Port, I think it was.
To Port,
on the wing.
the wing. So a glimmer of hope there. They've got some good backs, running backs. They just need to get in a position to be able to use them. Yeah,
look, I think they'll be better for the run again. You know, it's always coaches. I think the middle of the ruck with those big lads, as we've mentioned, is one that up. And as you said during the call, Dave, you know, if push that defence in, squeeze it in a bit more, so that if they've got to get around you or going to make a break, they're going to make it around the outside. So yeah, it was just a good afternoon, a good sized crowd here. The boys up the Canberra looks like they're all packed up, so I don't think I'll get a beer up there with them. I'll sneak up and see what I can find though, Righty, just at the end of this.
And I'm sure there'll be a few of them that'll adjourn to that magnificent East Leagues Club as well. So
indeed.
There'll be plenty of talk about how good we were in those old days. But look, it's been a pleasure on behalf of Tiger TV to bring you this match here between the Redcliffe Dolphins and the East Tigers here at Suzuki Stadium. For the Tigers fans, not successful today, but the guys tried hard. For the Dolphins, well, they'll be pretty happy. They've got 3 in a row now, and the Tigers will have to look to better days. But it's been a pleasure to bring you the game, and we look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks' time on Tiger TV. Bye for now.